There was recently a very public exchange that took place between Dr. Jordan Peterson and Pope Francis, which I'm going to comment on. You all know how good I am at building bridges. Pope Francis tweeted that social justice demands that we fight against the causes of poverty, inequality, and the lack of labor, land, and lodging, against those who would deny social labor rights, and against the culture that leads to taking away the dignity of others. To which Dr. Peterson responded, "There is nothing Christian about social justice. Redemptive salvation is a matter of the individual soul." Now, it seems to me that there's an obvious miscommunication here. Let's start with the fact that they're both correct, insofar as how they are applying the definitions they both have for social justice. You see, social justice is a Catholic teaching. It was long before it was hijacked and changed to mean something almost completely different. Catholic social justice teaches us that we are each made in the image of God and so possess an equal and inalienable worth. Because of this essential dignity, each person has a right to all that is needed to allow him or her to live their full potential as intended by God. Food, clean water, safety, shelter, employment, education, healthcare. The Church believes so strongly in these principles that that's why it became the largest charitable organization in the world to do any of those things. The modern education system, begun by Catholics. Higher learning, Catholics. Like the idea of the hospital system? Think a Catholic. Catholic social justice drives how the Church conducts herself charitably. However, the common definition for it now seems to rely heavily on the state, minus the efforts of the Church, to regulate and fulfill the basic human rights and dignities afforded to people. The issue with this is that those who would like the fruits of the Church do not want the roots. Therefore, while they see the fruits are good, they try to replace the roots, which one cannot do. They do this by trying to hand over godlike power to the state, or rather, corrupt people in control. But the fruits will not be near as sweet. So when Peterson said, "There's nothing Christian about social justice," he was right, according to the modern definition of social justice. And in saying redemptive salvation is a matter of the individual's soul, my guess, and if he happens to see this, he's free to correct me, is that he was making a nod towards the Christians who promote the thuggery of the state, who think that their charity isn't in giving of themselves, but rather voting in thugs. I know a lot of Christian leaders who preach that. They think that voting in people to rob others against their will, in the hopes that some money might make it to the hands of the widowed mother of 3 children, means they don't have any personal responsibility towards actual social justice. Authentic social justice comes from the Church, or rather those who make up the Church. It cannot come from the state. One is voluntary, one is thuggery. Peterson was right. Yet, when the Pope said what he did concerning social justice, he too was correct. Many a pope have written extensively in these fun little ditties called papal encyclicals about the Church's duty to enforce social justice. The same people who have hijacked Catholic verbiage aimed at promoting the dignity of the human person deny babies even have the right to live. Needless to say, they do not understand social justice. The term has, in fact, been hijacked. And the personal responsibility that came along with it, chucked right out the window. Personal responsibility is not getting someone else far above your station to do your bidding. Personal responsibility is being personally responsible. Voting is not a personal responsibility. Taking your hard-earned money, getting together with some like-minded folks, and buying food for and feeding less fortunate people is social justice. Giving charity to an organization that does something like that is social justice. Voting in thugs, especially those who vote against authentic social justice, isn't social justice. There's a ton of information concerning what authentic social justice is, and I encourage you, if you want to delve more deeply into it, to read some papal encyclicals, suggesting Rerum Novarum by Pope Leo XIII and Mater et Magisteria by Pope John XXIII. Now, unfortunately, this current pope has said and done some things that make it seem he aligns closely with communism. Of course, the Church expressly condemns communism and socialism because both are, quite frankly, extremely evil, mainly because it undermines the whole dignity of the human person. But maybe that's a video for another day, when I'm feeling more feisty. During an interview with the leftist Catholic magazine America, the following exchange occurred. In the interview, Father Matt Malone, departing editor-in-chief of America, said to Pope Francis, "In the United States, there are those who interpret your criticisms of market capitalism as criticisms of the United States. There are even some who may think you are a socialist, or they call you a communist, or they call you a Marxist." The Pope replied, "If I see the gospel in a sociological way only, yes, I am a communist, and so too is Jesus. Behind the Beatitudes in Matthew 25, there's a message that is Jesus' own, and that is to be a Christian. The communists stole some of our Christian values. Obviously, the context here is the same that I stated a moment ago. An ideology wants the fruits of Catholic teaching, but without the roots. If one abstracts certain things into their view, yes, they will see it through that view. That doesn't change reality. However, if someone is looking for slim validation for any worldview, anything can be abstracted to justify their belief system. I've seen people justify abortion by the lack of the word abortion in the Bible. Obviously, though, this interview and others painted the Pope as favorable to communism, as well as when he spoke highly of the tyrannical Chinese Communist government. And he has also spoken out against unbridled capitalism, which, yes, is also evil, but mostly because there's an unelected branch of government who is actually running the country. Big business is our government now, peasants. And our politicians, for the most part, are simply their cronies. We can see how unfettered capitalism, when favorites are chosen by political thugs and propped up, has harmed our country. But remember, this country isn't capitalistic. America is far closer to socialism because of this unelected branch of government. And that's what people don't seem to realize. And social justice warriors want even less personal financial freedom for us peasants in the name of equality. I'll try to get around to making a longer video about what the church teaches about social justice. I've run out of time now. So the very short of analyzing this exchange between Pope Francis and Dr. Peterson is that both are correct. And I think both are fed up with the direction of the world. And that's valid. I'm Regina Lux with Veritas on the Rocks.